Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it. We'll talk about it inside. Hey, Tom here, and today is November 16th. Hope everyone's doing well. Just a heads up, we will not be doing a report next week for Thanksgiving, during the week of Thanksgiving. We'll be skipping that, but we will be getting ready to do a couple of cool things in December, to do both a 2022 recap and a preview for a bunch of different metals, similar to what we did last year for 2023. So as the markets move, we want to give you information and help you move with them. For those of you that are always looking for more information, we know you're out there. I read all these YouTube comments every single week when I respond to a bunch of stuff. We have a YouTube member only section that gets special news alerts and videos sent out there, so you can certainly check that out. But let's talk about the markets. It's been a weird week and a half since Friday, I think November 4th, right? Friday, November 4th, we've seen copper prices jump about 45 cents per pound. Now, those aren't things that you hear happening that often. I saw jumps of 26 cents and 15 cents, and then pullbacks of 9 cents, and then increases of 7 cents. And we had a crazy week and a half run. Now, the market has pulled back slightly yesterday and today. Not surprising to see a market pull back a little bit after after prices ran up the way that it did. So why did copper jump the way that it did? The Chinese announced that they could possibly be ending some of their COVID protocols. Now, I talked about this last week, but it continued to be mentioned, and that's one of the reasons that we saw a big run up. They are talking about having increased production, having less people in lockdowns, and yes, that's still a thing in parts of the world, and that was one of the biggest reasons that we started to see copper prices increasing. Now, in addition to that, we saw that kind of parlay into brass prices increasing and different grades of ICW. And for those of you that don't know, ICW stands for insulated copper wire. We saw insulated copper wire prices increasing. And I talked to a couple of different choppers this week who take some of the lower grades of wire, and they said that they're really seeing a big influx of material from 30 to 40% material coming in. And a lot of that has to do with the Chinese stopping, buying that a few years ago. And it took a lot of these choppers a few years to really get their lines set up to process this low grade material. But now we're starting to see more material stay here inside of the United States, which is a good sign. Cuts down on transportation and lead times and reliability on other nations. So that's a cool thing. Yellow brass prices, we saw a couple prices posted as high as $2.05, $2.10. And if you don't post your prices, that's fine, but why not? Post your prices once in a while right through the app. Our new website is getting uploaded and tested right now, so we'll have it on the new server and out to you in the next few weeks. It'll definitely be up there in December. This way you can check out, different price charts, update prices, learn more about scrap, and just follow things in different ways. So that'll be exciting. But these copper prices and brass prices are up. We gave in a piece of advice to some of our YouTube members a few weeks ago that when the market has large jumps like that, to call ahead and ask the scrapyard if they plan on changing any prices. Not every scrapyard immediately jumps prices when the markets change, because what I have found in the 15 plus years that I've been running the scrapyard is that a lot of times we have real quick market ups, and the next day we have equal market downs. And even if we have 2 or 3 days of run-ups, we've seen big, turn downs on the other side, and seeing copper jump 25 cents in one day and then 18 cents the next day is really a crazy thing to see. And it makes a lot of people a little weary about buying large quantities, 44,000 pounds at a clip. And if you were on the other side of things and you were spending an additional $25,000 or $30,000 to buy those loads from different yards, you might want to pull back your margin. Those things don't happen overnight, and they're not that quick. So just certain things to keep in mind when you're talking and negotiating with your scrap yards. But what other good news do I have? Well, aluminum and stainless prices may actually be increasing. And those are two items this week that I would recommend as hold items. I think that I wrote it on there where copper, brass, wire, I recommend selling. The stainless and the aluminum markets seem to be having a little bit of life beginning pushed into them. After the last 6 months, we've really saw a really sharp pullback the last 6 months. The first 3 months of the year were good. The last 6 months were not so good, where aluminum prices essentially got about chopped down by 35-40%. Nickel prices are just something completely out there that makes no sense. I was reading a article earlier today about nickel manufacturers and how they actually have a huge amount of material on on their books and in their warehouses. Some producers have up to 4 months of supply that's already been processed. So what does that mean for stainless prices? Well, stainless prices have not increased, even though they should. And I'll tell you why I think. A few weeks ago, we saw nickel prices hovering around $21,000 to $22,000 a ton. Today, nickel prices are $29,000 a ton. So when you have an increase of about 17 to 20% over a period of 2 to 3 weeks, why wouldn't we see nickel or stainless prices increasing? 304 prices are really in the toilet right now, with prices being reported 18 cents, 26 cents. I think the best price that I saw reported recently for door trade was 35 cents a pound. And those prices don't make sense. And I know a lot of people that are saving a lot of 304 and 316 stainless because the prices are so poor right now. But we do expect to see big increases of those markets, especially if some of the news materializes. One big piece of news was that one of the largest manufacturers of aluminum and stainless steel, raw materials out of Russia could be kind of getting blacklisted from the world markets. What would that do? That would probably increase prices by 15 to 20% in a period of a week or two. Now, that hasn't happened yet, but those are the things that we're looking at, because stainless prices at these levels of nickel should be more like 65 or 70 cents a pound, not in the 20s and 30s. They should be double where they are minimum. So those are prices that we're expecting to increase into 2023. And of course, when we talk in December, we'll talk about those things as well. Now, one of the other things that we've talked about in the past, we've had our energy economist Mark on talking about some of the different energy prices. If you click the link that we have below, you'll be able to read about this week's blog, read about some of the prices that are happening. Let's just say diesel is not going very well. Those of you that are driving big diesel trucks know what I'm talking about. And those of you that own roll-off trucks or box trucks or anything that consumes diesel, you can read the article and see some of the pain that people are really experiencing. And you'll see how some of the moves by politicians have pushed down gas prices coincidentally before the elections, where we may be seeing a real quick turnaround over the next 3 months. And that, of course, is going to affect a lot of these scrap prices. So if you're not posting your prices, make sure you're posting them. This way you can see some things. We're seeing average catalytic converter prices for OEMs in the $165 to $172 range. Really strong prices. While platinum just slipped below $1,000 a short while ago before I walked in here. It's around $992 per ounce. We were over $1,000 per ounce for the first time in several weeks. Palladium prices crossed the $2,000 per ounce threshold, which again, we haven't seen in many weeks. Palladium is really used a lot in diesel catalytic converters. So the DPF systems and things like that have heavier dose of palladium inside of them. So if you're one of the people that are looking for quotes through rrcats.com, just know that when palladium goes up, diesel priced catalytic converters will have a much higher increase, opposed to being reliant on rhodium, which is almost never found in diesel catalytic converters, or in platinum prices, which is found, but not nearly as much as the palladium is. So that's just a little tip to keep in mind. So overall, markets are good. 10-day price lock over rrcats.com and free shipping on OEM cats, copper, aluminum, brass. All those markets look to be having a real nice uptick. Aluminum prices on sheet aluminum, I've already seen a price increase of about 2 to 3 cents per pound on sheet aluminum over the last few days. I don't know if we're going to see a further uptick for the rest of November. We got Turkey Day next week. All of a sudden, it's short 8 days away. So the holidays generally screw with the markets a little bit because traders are off and people aren't shipping things and trucking companies are a little slower. People want to be home and not traveling as much. So those are things that are really going to slow down the markets a little bit. But overall, I mean, we have some strong markets right now. We're really happy with them, and you should be too. And now is a good time to call your scrap yards, and you might be able to negotiate a little higher prices on your copper and your brass. I've negotiated some higher prices with customers when they come in with 500-600 pounds of material, because that's a nice load, especially when you have it separated and sorted so well. So just another thing to keep in mind, scrappers. Today is Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. We appreciate you tuning in. I wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. I will talk to you in 2 weeks, which will be, I guess, the last Wednesday in November, the 30th. And until then, I'll scrap you later.
Thanks for checking out this scrap video. For more exclusive scrap video content, please become a YouTube member of our channel today. Thank you, and I'll scrap you later.